Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to the Gems of War Campaign 19, Week 5, Day 3. So today, yesterday we ended up going over the patch notes for version 8.0. We're going to be getting that patch next week's Tuesday. However, it's technically 2 Mondays from now when the patch will fully be here, as next week's Tuesday, while we are getting the patch, a lot of the patch doesn't take place until the following reset week, and there'll be at least a 6-day period where we're technically going to be in version 8.0, but we're really not in version 8.0 until the 22nd, basically. But it is still around the corner. It seems like it's mostly just going to be a bunch of PvP stuff. We're going to be getting 10 new Stellarixes, and stuff like that. Technically 11, because I believe we're starting with 10, and then the first season's bringing in 1, because it's going to be around the PvP updates. It's going to be bringing in seasons to PvP. We're currently in Season 0. And we'll basically earn a bunch of VP, earn a bunch of things to get the new Immortals, which is the main premise of the next patch. And we'll kind of go from there. We still have this calendar thing going. We get a free thing this Sunday. But anyways, so today's focus is going to be on Underspire. We have yet to touch it this week. We have Nexus Underspire. Won't be the first thing we start with. However, it will be the main thing we will be doing today, as I do want to make a ton of progress on it. Probably go until we hit 0 torches. Should get us to about zone 3, 3.5. Anyways, where should we start? Let's go journey event and help out the guild, I guess. Journey event, pretty straightforward this week. Honestly, the options we have aren't that bad at all. Wand, Ignarian, Mirage Queen with your best damage source is pretty free this week for the event. Also, I just realized we didn't bother spending all of our sigils yesterday. We have 6 right now. And the only way we can have 6 right now is if I didn't use 2 yesterday. So I guess I got distracted at some point yesterday and kind of forgot to go do the final 2 battles. Oh well. Not that big a deal. As long as they eventually get done. As long as the guild gets it done. I did like 0 battles last time around. It was like, oh, already done. But anyways, hello everyone. Hello Mark. Hello Bill. Hello Isabel. Hello Draco. Hello. Oh, who do we have still? Hello everyone else. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're going to take that. Get our mana. You promised to only abuse Supplement? Oh, Bill Warhammer's wanting the wrench of justice. No, don't abuse your power on Supplement. Even if he deserves it half the time. No, just kidding. Bill, shirt link? Wait, what shirt link? Wait, what is that a shirt of? What is this a shirt of? Wait, I missed the reference. Wait. I need to read back. The shirt of the day for this one website. Okay, let me go see. What is it? What is this a reference to? Let's see. It's a Cookie Monster thing. I think it's a cookie. That's funny. I wonder if Cookie did end up getting that shirt. It seems like something Cookie would get, unironically. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I finally got, speaking of buying things, I was gonna say, what have I bought recently? But I was gonna think like the seagull thingy. But I actually picked up a mattress today. So I finally got rid of the very, very bad old one. And yeah, it was about a little under 1,000. But I've been needing it for a while, and those things last at least a good 5-10 years or so. But yeah, my other one had like a hole in it. Like you would like literally sink down from overuse. But this one's nice. Nice and firm. Slightly too firm, but you know, it breaks in a little bit, so give it a week or two and it'll be back to its normal state. But anyways, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, I finally went to the movies again after like a long, long time. I think last year was the first time I've been back since pandemic. And I think we saw the Willy Wonka thingy, and it was okay. Willy Wonka movie was pretty average, but Inside Out 2 is what we ended up seeing today, because we still had the gift card from when she ended up getting it from, I think she got it from work during Christmas, which is why we went to see Wonka at the time. And it still had money on it, so we basically got the movies basically for free today, which is nice. while we're out, because we're going to be out anyways. But, yeah, Inside Out 2, honestly, probably better than the first one. One of the few times where the sequel is actually better than the original. Though, I feel like a lot of things in animation have been somewhat doing that. Not a lot of things. But, like, the Puss in Boots 2 was like that, too. Where the sequel was way, 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 way better than the original. Though the original for Inside Out 1 was actually already pretty good. Or, you know, for Inside Out 2 of Inside Out 1. But yeah, it was pretty solid. I feel like the pacing at some places was a little bit rushed. I feel like if there's, like, a director cut thingy in, like, the DVD version or whatever they have, which I'm not going to bother getting. But if they were to have something like that, I'm willing to make a bet they cut, like, 10 minutes of comedic relief between some of the things that happened. Because there's a few parts of the movie where it felt like normally whenever you cover, like, a big topic or something, you put, like, a, you know, some amount of comedic relief in between. There's a special written term for that. But there were some spots where, like, you can get a right way with just constantly doing that during the climax of a movie or similar thing. But I feel like there were some parts, like, prior to the climax where it seems a little obvious some parts were cut. Maybe because it just made the tone seem not as serious or something else. But it definitely seems like there were some, like, comedic parts that were probably cut from that movie. If there was ever the director cut coming out or anything else for down the line. But otherwise, it was really solid. And probably the best thing Pixar and or Disney has done in a very, very long time. Originally, I wasn't going to see it because with Pixar and Disney's track record recently, it's been bad. However, it's one of their few good things that they've done in recent times. Yeah, GG on better sleep. Yeah, I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'll let you know tomorrow. But from what I've had of it so far, yeah, it seems pretty solid. Yeah, I've been meaning to replace that forever. Honestly, I'm making this the year of upgrades. There are so many things that I've been neglecting on doing in that regard. Both with the channel, with the emotes and everything, and just in my room and house in general. But yeah, now that I got all the medical expenses done, after all the dental stuff and everything else this year, yeah, we're just spending a ton. Getting everything that we actually need, that we've been neglecting to do for like a decade now. Everything that needs to be replaced is getting replaced. I should be using Amarak in Journey. What's Amarak's Devour rate? It's definitely worth it once we get deeper. Isn't its Devour rate only like 30-ish%? I forget how a boost ratio is. I know it's like a 10% boosted by like something. But isn't it like 30-40% Devour rate or something? And it creates a bunch of red if it gets a kill. The deeper you go, the more viable that will get. I'm not sure we're deep enough for that to be relevant yet. I feel like it's worth it once we no longer get max points. If we're at the point where we stop getting max points, it would be worth it to transition to insta-kill. Whereas early on, you either build a true damage team or a physical damage team like what we're doing now. Yeah, once we stop getting max points, we could try the Amarak build. As when it gets lucky, it does have the potential to win quick enough to still get max points. It's getting 50 to 90% Devour rate. Yeah, you definitely use it once you scale a bit higher. I feel like we're still early on enough where it's not worth it, personally. And by the time we do get deep enough, I think the guild might already almost be done. It's probably about Friday we'll need to start using either that or like a true damage build or something similar. We'll probably just go into Devour build, though. I don't think true damage will help us too much. It is a route that we have for this, but if physical damage is falling off, true damage generally also falls off. Yeah, you do have a higher extra turn chance using a double storm compared to single storm. The way that the percents work on it, it does come out to higher extra turn rate when you board clear. And of course, not only explode is board clear, just taking stuff from the board is also board clear. Also, I almost forgot, it's Vol weekend this weekend. We definitely need to go grind that. Oh yeah, by the way, I said we were probably going to do a midday stream tomorrow. I'm not sure if we are. Or at least what I was going to do a midday stream for. I probably won't be. Because similar to Gems of War, Old School RuneScape added like 30 bugs in their most recent patch today. And because of that, and the fact that we're on a one life account, I could die to any one of those bugs. Maybe not any one of those bugs, but a handful of them. I will probably ignore it until like next week's Wednesday. Because similar to Gems of War, they always update the same day every week. And for them, it's Wednesday. Of course, for Gems of War, that is this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be in version 8.0 for Gems of War. I don't really understand that these days, though. Like, what is so different with modern code where you touch anything and 1,000 things break? Because I feel like every single game I play these days, anytime there's an update, at least a dozen things break instantly. Do people not, like, QA test anything anymore? Actually, I already know the answer to that. Yes, they don't. Why pay for a QA team when you could just put it up in a beta or let the, let the community test it and then just fix it the week after? It's a bad direction that a lot of live service games have gone down. Where I'm pretty sure almost every live service has zero QA team or they don't have enough QA team. But it has to be one or the other. Because there feels like there's no game that has a proper QA team these days. Like, there's so many obvious things that if you even played for like 10 minutes, you would see instantly. I said, hello, Cookie. Welcome, welcome. Oh, is Cookie not seen the link yet? That's funny. Wait, did he not show him the link earlier? It's 10% plus 4 per red on board. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew it was base 10%. I forgot what a boost ratio would buy. So yeah, that is on average about a 40-50% devour rate. Slightly higher depending on board state. Like right now it's 10, so yeah. About a 50% devour rate. It's not bad. It's basically pre-nerf Cerberus. Back before it got nerfed from 50% to 40% for reasons I do not quite fully understand. As it was never broken at 50%. It's one of a handful of nerfs that have been done in Gems of War that make literally 0 sense. Like, there isn't a single time in the history of the game where 50% Cerberus was strong. Yeah, there was a random patch where they nerfed it from 50 to 40%. I don't really understand why. Pet is on sale for $5. What, the Gems of War pet? I didn't even notice that. Actually, honestly, I haven't even checked any of the summer sales for Steam. Does anyone know if there's anything worthwhile? Yeah, apparently the Gems of War pets are $5. But any other Steam games these days that are actually worthwhile to pick up? Let's see. 2 mini bosses. Apparently we gotta go to explore. I'll do that real quick. At no point is that within the plan, so we'll just go quick kill it with the good old Dust Devil. Of course, we'll be using this team a ton this weekend, as we have Vault Event weekend. But isn't today the last day of the summer sale too for Steam? I don't know, did any of you guys pick up anything interesting? I honestly, in recent years, have not been paying much attention to whatever Steam does. If it wasn't for Gems of War, I feel like I almost wouldn't even be using Steam these days. Though I say that, Brighter Shores is releasing exclusively on Steam soon, so... that will also be it. But yeah, when it comes to games on Steam, the only one I play on a regular basis to any degree these days is Gems of War. If it wasn't for that, and indie games, which I've been mostly playing on Switch lately, I wouldn't even be playing on Steam. I feel like that would change once I get a Steam Deck 2. Once those exist, because then all my indie games will be played on that. But at the moment, I normally use my Switch as my indie game machine. So if it wasn't for Gems of War at this current moment in time, I basically would never use Steam. At least currently. Actually, what is the last game we played on Steam? Actually, let me go check. It actually tells you what your most recent games are. Let's see. Gems of War, OBS Studio, because I'm using it right now. Power World, because there's no way I'm downloading it off of Epic. I'm not even sure if it's on Epic. So Played Up was the last game, technically. Ignoring Power World. But yeah, Power World either back in January or February, or Played Up back in May. And then beyond that, what was the game we played prior? Moonstone Island, which I would have played on Switch, but I was concerned it'd be a little bit too buggy and everything, so I just got it on the Steam version. Then it was Mega Man Battle Network, but again, that could have been on a Switch. Dave the Diver. Okay, that was one I couldn't do. Dave the Diver didn't come to Switch until about a year later. So Dave the Diver, which we last played on like a year ago, last year's July, is in a theory the last game we played on Steam that I didn't have an option to play somewhere else. So it has basically been a year since we played a game on Steam. Ignoring Gems of War and ignoring indie games or smaller games that I could have just played on Switch or a different platform. So Dave the Diver was a year ago, was the most recent game we played in that regard. And technically, almost a year and a half ago. Because even though it says I last played it a year ago, we initially played it during the beta back in last year's January or February, whatever it was. It's almost a year and a half since we last played a Steam game, technically. Even though I technically use Steam every day. Hello, Genki! Welcome, welcome. Slay the Princess might be fun. Is that a Slay the Spire clone? Or does it just have a coincidentally similar name? Because when I hear Slay the Princess, I definitely think Slay the Spire clone. Honestly, I haven't really streamed Slay the Spire clones on this channel. I think the only one we've ever streamed was that one Pirates Outlaw game that was on mobile and Steam. And honestly, it wasn't bad. It's actually pretty solid. Honestly, I don't mind that genre. I really like Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire 2's around the corner. I haven't played too many Slay the Spire likes. It's basically a genre in itself at this point. I feel like there's just so many clones of it that it's hard to tell before going in, like, is this one going to be good or not? Because there's hundreds of Slay the Spire likes these days. But I always like card games like that. Actually, when we were playing Palia earlier, they got me addicted to the card game in there. I'm a big fan of, like, mini card games. Especially card games within a game. Like, if the base game is already good, and then it has a card game around that you actually get good loot for. I love stuff like that. Actually, any game that has, like, gameplay loop around, like, another gameplay loop I always like. Like, a game within a game. But playing the actual minigame within the game is actually still good progress for the overall game. Hot pot is life. Your plan is working. Honestly, I haven't played it too much since. I did a little bit with Isabel last night. But beyond that, I think I only have like 10 hours in Palia. Compared to your guys' thousands. I don't know, it's just hard for me to get addicted to it, even though it does seem like a good game. Just because there's another MMO in like a month that I'm going to be sinking like thousands of hours into. And, oh, top 3. And it just feels weird if I start getting into another MMO now and then just in a month later it's like, okay, let's go all in on this one. Oh, we got it! Oh, let's go hand out an extra code. Nice, we got it. But no, I'll still revisit it here and there. I'm not sure when we'll do another stream for it though. Yeah, we got the perfect. Alright, I'll go hand out a code in a second. Somebody need to get another water. I've gone through so much water today. I think I'm on my like 5th or 6th water. And I believe 3 of these is a liter. Which means, yeah. 3 of these are a liter. So I've gone through 2 liters of water so far today. Isn't that how many you're supposed to drink per day? Like 1.5 liters to 2 liters. But I'm already at 2 liters and I'm still thirsty. It's been warm today. The problem with my area, and it's something I noticed after going to New Jersey and then back to here, which you don't really notice when you're like just here, but when you feel the difference in another area, it's absurdly noticeable. It is absurdly humid in this area. Like, way too humid. It's not something you notice when you're kind of used to it after a little while, but after going to an area that's hot but not humid, and then going to an area that's very hot and very humid, it is very noticeable. Even though it's only a temperature difference of like 10 degrees, it feels like a temperature difference of like 30. Yeah, we did get lucky on dungeon today. Right in time for Vault Weekend, where we can get even more Dragonite. Okay, let's go get a True Perfect. I'm not going to bother doing a poll for it right now, but what do you guys think? 4, 5, or 6 for the True Perfect? Place your votes now while I go get the redeem code. We'll hand out 2 codes today. I don't have the code section open. One moment. But yeah, 4, 5, or 6. Which one's the True Perfect? It doesn't really matter at this point, because making a mistake does nothing. We can click all 3 of them in it. We still get the loot. Let's see. But there you guys go. There's the redeem code used on gemsword.com for the game code section. Your invite code is in the settings menu. Redeem code right over there in chat. Gives the same loot as always. 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. And Isabel just posted the link. Thank you. And definitely feel free to leave a like on the stream. Helps a lot and is greatly appreciated. Anyways, alright, let's go 4. Aw, boo. 5. Aw, boo. 6. Aw, boo. We didn't even get the loot. Oh, only would have been like a handful of jewels anyways. Well, we got 120 Dragonite. That's the only thing that matters. Alright, nothing good in there. All those dailies done. Pet rescue. Oh yeah, by the way, if you need this pet, make sure to go get it. It's Green Mastery. Technically helps you in every battle you ever do. Though the amount that it helps you surge is very low and only when you take a 3. But it does technically help you in every fight you ever do. Though of course we've already maxed it in the past. Okay, so Underspire will save you for last because Underspire will take at least like a half an hour, if not longer. That's probably the main thing we'll be doing today. So let's go to PvP real quick. I believe I'm not bothering with PvP leaderboard. Also, I'm really looking forward to next patch when we can switch alliances. We ended up reading in the 8.0 patch notes that we are going to be able to go and switch alliances to any other alliance after the initial change. So this should be Monday the 22nd. Keep in mind, do not do it as soon as the patch happens, as the thing hasn't been reset, and it probably will reset your thing. And I feel like there will be a lot of complaints about that because I don't think it's really clear on that it doesn't take effect until the following Monday. It does mention it, but it's not like super clear that that's the case. Hopefully there's like a warning if you try to leave, like, hey, you're going to lose like all your alliance points or whatever they're called, the loyalty. But there will be a 1-week grace period that should be starting on the 22nd. So in 12 days from now, 2 Mondays from now, where you'll be able to change your alliance to any other alliance. And I'm definitely bailing on Dark Alliance for a weaker alliance. I do not want to keep winning in Dark Alliance, as I believe the 40% extra stats and not having to deal with everyone else having 20% extra stats. I guess we still have to deal with it some, but with 40% extra stats, it doesn't matter as much. But I'm pretty sure at this point, the 40% extra stats outweighs winning those gold marks. Especially if it can help you secure a top 3 in like half the time. Maybe not half the time, but you know, it is definitely more convenient with 40% extra stats to claim this leaderboard than it is without 40% extra stats, especially when next patch, everyone else that you're fighting is going to have 20% extra stats. So yeah, we definitely want to go figure out what the weakest one is. I might even just wait a few days, because since it's like a whole week grace period, we can kind of see, we could wait like a few days in. So what I'm probably going to do next patch is we're actually not going to change immediately on that Monday. I'm probably going to wait till like the weekend of like the end of July. And then at that point, we'll be like, okay, which one do we go switch to? Because at that point, we'll know which one the weakest is. We're already going to be several days into the event week. So we don't even need to guess which one is the worst faction or the worst alliance. We will simply see which one the worst alliance is, and then we'll go to it. Though if I had to guess, it's going to be the Dwarven one. But that's my game plan for it. Because it is currently, at least with how it is set up right now, though if it's not that way, we could always just change if they between alliances again, between seasons. But as it currently stands between this upcoming alliance, it is far better to be in the worst possible alliance than it is to be in the best alliance. Generally speaking. Unless you were like really absurdly active in PvP. But even then, I still feel like 40% stats outweighs a little bit of gold marks you would get. They've made being in the best alliance the worst option. Alright, what am I doing? Oh yeah, we gotta go do purple, yellow, and green. 2 of which are blood frenzied, oddly enough. Alright, alright, well, let me go do... Oh, wait, do we not have Alliance fight today? Oh, yeah, it's Wednesday. I always keep forgetting that. You have, like, a triple battle you need to do, but you don't have to do the Alliance fight. Alright, let's go do them. So how many gold marks do we get today? We're getting 18, 18, and 9, which is 9 times 5, which is 35. We are getting 35 gold marks. That's not bad. I am actually kind of curious, though. After everyone bails Dark Alliance, would it then become better to be in Dark Alliance? It's so weird. Because one funny thing that could happen is because so many people will leave Dark Alliance, it might actually become viable to be in Dark Alliance again. Because you're going to start getting more gold marks. And if the amount of gold marks you get for being in Dark Alliance is ever higher than how many gold marks you get for winning 3rd place PvP, it then becomes better to be in Dark Alliance again. Or if you're just really active in PvP. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I am personally going down the route of extra stats is better than 50 to 70-ish extra gold marks a week. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Have I gone over the patch notes? Oh yeah, we did the whole patch note reading last night. We read it literally the second it was off the presses. Like the second they posted it, we read it on stream. But yeah, I have a timestamp on previous night's stream if you want to go check it. I will be rereading it probably on next week's Tuesday stream and going over some other things because there isn't really too much to do the day of. So patch notes reading again probably will be one of the main things we do. Then just going over new info that we'll have the day of. But, yeah, we did the patch notes reading last night if you want to check it. We went over it literally the minute it was posted. Because it happened during last night's stream. I didn't bother doing a separate video for it, though. I don't intend to. We will once the patch is out. And once I say the patch is out, I mean, like, out. This is technically not happening until the Monday after the patch actually occurs. It's one of those weird patches where the patch is going to happen and then we have 6 days until the patch actually happens. It's one slight thing I kind of hate about Gems of War patches sometimes. Is the day of the patch is not actually the day of the patch. It's normally the Monday after the patch that is the day of the patch. Which, given that they do Tuesday updates, is a whole 6 days away from when the patch actually occurs. Alright, 1 down, 2 to go. To yellow next. Please tell me I already have a team set up. Yeah, it actually remembered for once. Yeah, overall, my thoughts on next patch. I'm concerned with how much power creep it could be. I'm concerned with how pay to win it could be. And did I say power creep already? Yeah, power creep and cost. I'm most concerned with because it seems like it's going to be decently pay to win. Like, it seems like everyone will be able to access the new troops easily. But maxing them is probably going to be the most pay to win thing in the entire game. Is the only big concern with it. It also seems like it'll probably be like upwards of 3 years to max them all free to play. It's going to be like a super absurdly long-term thing. Which would be one of the longest grinds they've ever added in the history of the game. Well, we don't know exactly how it's scaled, so kind of have to wait and see. But knowing them, it feels like it'll be around there. The other concern is how much PvP do you have to do for the season. 11-week season, which means it's going to coincide with season passes, of course. So with an 11-week season, how much PvP points are we going to get? We were guesstimating it will probably be around 250,000 to 1 million. 250,000 would set it to about 20,000 a week. Whereas 1 million would be way higher than it currently is. But seems like a number they might end up making it, given that it's 90 tiers. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. There are a handful of things with the patch that are kind of up in the air. Because until we get really specific numbers and really specific stats, we don't really know. Because reading the patch notes is one thing, seeing the actual rates and numbers and everything are going to be quite a bit different. Because Season Pass could either be really good or really bad. Between the cost of it, between how long it takes to grind. Because, for example, if it's something like Campaign, where it's basically free to auto-complete it every week, it's quite a bit different compared to something like, oh no, Underspire, where you have to put a lot of effort to actually complete it on a given week. Like literal hours. So it's one of those kind of differences. Because if the PvP update is like, oh, you only have to do like 10 minutes a day to update to upkeep it for 11 weeks, then it's like, okay, well that's basically nothing. You've probably already done off your daily that we're doing right now. But then if it was something like, oh, you need to do what you're already doing and an extra like 2 hours a day of PvP, then it's like, wait, that's a bit much. I don't know, I'll have to wait and see. It's not really something we'll know until pretty much day of. Because even though it's all mentioned in the patch notes, the very specifics of it are not mentioned in the patch notes. Alright, 2 down, 1 to go. Go get our other 18 gold marks. Claim our benefits of Dark Alliance before we leave them forever. Honestly, I'm gonna miss the Dark Alliance. But I'm gonna love 40% extra PvP stats more than I'll ever love these gold marks. The other reason of why I want to do it is regardless of how long the new PvP pass takes, you will definitively finish it quicker with 40% PvP stats than you will with not 40% PvP stats. And if it is a bit of a grind, to any degree, I personally feel like 40% extra PvP stats will way outweigh the amount of gold marks you'll get in Dark Alliance. Just quality of life, speed that it'll have, how many less battles you'll lose. Just the overall convenience of it. Far outweighs, like... But plus you have to keep in mind, you actually have to spend time upkeeping Dark Alliance's gold marks. Like today, we're doing 15 battles that anyone in Dark Alliance would not have to do. Like, you do not have to do these 15 battles if you're not in Dark Alliance right now. These are basically just an extra daily. I say daily, it only actually occurs 5 days out of the week, but almost daily. Is the PvP boost 40% now or after the patch? Oh, it's doing it right now. They changed that about a week or two ago. I mentioned it a couple times on stream and on the video before I went. So I wasn't really mentioning too much beyond that. But, yeah, they changed that like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Every alliance that isn't Dark Alliance is 40% extra PvP stats. They are making a slight change to it where you also get 20% defense stats. Which even more reason to have 40% PvP stats. Because that means almost everyone you're facing will have 20% higher stats. But yeah, currently only the 40% PvP stats is the one that takes effect right now. So if you're not in Dark Alliance, everywhere you go, you have 40% more stats right now. is one of the reasons why ladder has been a bit higher. Because these are likely, like, these two people likely have 40% extra stats. I don't think I can check what alliance they're in by clicking on them. No, I can't. But I'm willing to make a bet both of these are not Dark Alliance. Alright, we did that, we did that. We did that. Alright, I think it is finally time. Still have another redeem code we need to go hand out, but let's start up the Underspire. I guess maybe once we finish out the second section or something, we'll hand out redeem code. Oh yeah, I need to go get team. I didn't copy paste it during the video, did I? A lot of times when I make the team for, I don't bother making it in the thingy. For some game modes I do. For these, I generally do outside of it, and then paste it in after the fact. Because for some teams when I create it, especially weirder restrictions, I'll specifically build the team like right here. But for Underspire, I always actually create them externally. Just because the restriction is generally really obvious, just whatever the kingdom is, in this case Nexus. So you just do Nexus weapon, you do Nexus troops, and you're good to go. Or some of them are a bit weirder. Like for example, something like Journey Event, where it's red and elemental. I build my teams in the team builder there. Because it's just a little bit more annoying to, you know, do that outside of it. But things like this, I actually always build my Underspire teams outside of the setup here. Just because it's really obvious what you need to build around. Or some weird restrictions like blue dragon and like other things like that. I don't know, it's just easier to do in the restriction thingy that's already set up there. You just got a 2 terabyte SSD for your Xbox? Oh yeah, that's something else I was doing. When I got the, I almost said sofa. When I got the new bed today, the new mattress, I was browsing around Best Buy just to see computer builds. Because I was originally going to get it online. And then I kind of realized, what if it ships to the wrong place by accident? And, you know, I lose out on however much it was and all that. What if it gets, like, broken in transit or something else? What if there's, like, for some reason there needs to be returns or anything else? And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to buy it locally. So I was just, like, searching at Best Buy today before the mattress. And, yeah, just kind of seeing what kind of specs and everything relative to price. And honestly, there's some pretty solid stuff there still. I feel like it's probably still, like, a 10-20% markup compared to if you know, got it all individually and everything. But honestly, out of pure convenience, I don't mind just doing it that way. Not having to worry about shipping, not having to worry about getting all the components separately. You missed the X marks the spot glitch. Are you using an Xbox 360? Oh gosh. I still have never actually gotten a single Xbox console. Also, I feel like their naming conventions make it really confusing to understand what version Xbox is currently on. Not that Nintendo is much better. But I feel like, oh wait, this is a weird layout. Which is weird because there's like multiple different Xboxes called Xbox One that are not the first Xbox. It's like one of the weirdest naming conventions for any console. Like Xbox has the absolute weirdest. Nintendo is in between, where it's like somewhat weird but somewhat makes sense if you know like their overall history. And PlayStation just has the simplest. Anyone can understand the PlayStation naming convention. They're gonna call their next one PlayStation 69. Yeah, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, PlayStation basically does what phones do. Just name them one number up. Your Xbox is over a decade old? Oh gosh. Yeah, I have some pretty old consoles. The oldest console I have that still works is my N64. Which would have been from the late 1990s, which at this point is over 20 years old. Actually, it's over 25 years old now that I think about it. Gosh, I'm getting old. But yeah, the oldest console I have is like 25 years old. I do have to say, as far as Nintendo consoles are concerned, I do personally feel like the GameCube has had the best lineup of any console in the history of Nintendo. It just started so many good franchises. And it's basically unprecedented for what it ultimately did, franchise-wise. It's basically a third of every Nintendo franchise started on GameCube. Or at least the United States localizations of them. Basically, I think Animal Crossing actually started on N64, if you lived in Japan, but everywhere else in the world it started on GameCube. Oh yeah, Beer Razor, I saw your comment above. I just didn't make any comment on it. I did read it. Yeah, this is something I still need to get set up at some point that I keep putting off. So we can actually play a bunch of N64 and GameCube games and similar on the channel. A lot of them by this point have gotten remakes, but a lot of them haven't. A lot of them likely never will. Because obviously most recently we played Thousand Year Door, which is one of the best games that came out in the GameCube era, as well as the last good Paper Mario game. But that was originally on the GameCube back in like 2004. Star Fox 64? Actually, I don't think I own Star Fox 64. I'm trying to think, what were my favorite games on the N64? Pokemon Coliseum 1 and 2 were pretty fun. Especially the minigames that they had. Even if you weren't playing it for the normal battles, there was actually a pretty good handful of good minigames in there. Obviously, on the minigame front, Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. N64 started the Mario Party series. N64 also started the Smash series. Which is really good as well. Although I do have to say the GameCube version of Smash, way better. N64 version these days basically looks like the demo for the GameCube version. And people actually still play the GameCube version competitively to this day. Which is kind of crazy. But it was actually that good. What else was on N64 that was pretty good? I'm trying to think. N64 was kind of at a time where they were kind of like just starting and experimenting with like 3D. So a lot of things from N64 didn't really age too well. I think what else was like really, really high up there that I personally liked a lot. I know the GameCube era is like my personal favorite era of anything Nintendo has ever done. Which is the era right after it. I don't know, I'm not sure why nothing's really coming up to mind. I don't know, whenever I think of N64, I definitely think of Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. They're definitely the ones I played to death the most, by far. Like, I probably have more time on Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 on the N64 than every other N64 game combined. Oh, so there was Ocarina of Time, but I feel like Ocarina of Time has like had 1.5 billion remakes. That's not one that I would say is exclusive to the N64 in a sense. That you couldn't just easily play these days. Because Ocarina of Time, I feel like has had like 5 different remakes, 1,000 different ROM hacks. Like it exists like to a billionth degree. Whereas things like the Mario Party series and a few others have never really had remakes. Actually, it's kind of funny. Even my the first game I ever played on console got a remake a couple years ago. I want to say like 5-6 years ago. It was one of those pod racing. I almost said Star Trek. One of those pod racing Star Wars games. I forget his exact name, but about 6 or 7 years ago, it got a $10 Switch port, which I haven't bothered playing because I was originally just gonna play it on the N64 at some point. But yeah, I ended up getting a port on Switch. Wasn't bad. Obviously, racing genre has a lot of competition these days. But the biggest thing in it definitely being Mario Kart. Also, I still can't get over the current state of Mario Kart. I still haven't played any of the DLC since like the second one, when they recently did that. But gosh, they've been milking the same Mario Kart game for like a decade now. It's by far the longest they've ever milked one game. Technically, we got a mobile game in that time, but that doesn't count. I don't think you've bought another Pokemon game since Stadium? Oh gosh. Actually, I really like the Stadium games. I'm not sure why they don't do them anymore. I think the Wii version was the very last one, and honestly, the Wii version was pretty weak. But it still wasn't horrible. But after that, they kind of just gave up on doing the stadiums. I think one of the most infamous Stadium games is definitely Gale of Darkness, beyond like the first two. 1 and 2 on the N64. Any that were made after that, I'm pretty sure Gale of Darkness is the most infamous one, just because it was made by a different game studio. And it was a good example of what Pokemon could be if Game Freak wasn't in control of everything. It was one of the few, Pokemon games where Game Freak, I don't believe actually made it. It was made by a third-party company. Oh yeah, Underspire's pretty decent this week. I'm currently using Calica, but honestly, I'm probably just going to switch to 3 bears. I mostly just did Calica just to see what it can do, ultimately. But personally, I don't think it's worth it. I'm just going to go the bear army. My only concern with this is the later battles are going to be kind of annoying. Because nothing in this kingdom has upscale. But beyond that, team comps aren't that bad here in Nexus. It just has a lack of upscaling, which is concerning at really high stats. It also has no insta-kill, I don't believe. Like no Devour or anything. Guess I'm forgetting one. But personally, I don't feel like Calica's worth it. I'm probably switching back to Bears. Oh yeah, Bear Racer, I saw your comment. I just don't always read every single one aloud. Star Fox 64 is the best. Honestly, I've never tried it. I have never actually played Star Fox 64. I think I may have once at like a friend's place. But I never owned Star Fox 64. So I never like played it. Same as things like the Crash games and the Spyro games. I've played them before, but I've never actually owned any of them. I personally feel like a lot of them didn't really age too well. A lot of games in that era, while good, compared to current modern gaming, I don't think aged too well. But there are a few things like Ocarina of Time and such, which, even into modern day, are like really good games still. Well, there's a lot of things in like the N64 era and early GameCube era, both in PlayStation, Nintendo, and everything else, where yeah, they didn't quite age the best. Like they weren't bad, they were still good, but you could definitely tell they're like a relic of their time. Yeah, I think we're switching to full on bear team soon. Yeah, we're just switching to all on bear team now. I guess time to bears. Yeah, we tried Calica. And in the situation where she would have the highest potential to be good, she is still not good. That sounds about right. I've never been a fan of her. But even in the situation where she has the highest potential to be not useless, she is still weaker than a legend. Alright, team fixed. Oh, yeah, I don't need Archer anymore for doing it that way. I guess Mech. Nice in between. I don't actually need Dispel, but still rolling with Mech. Actually, Archmages might be a little bit better in this situation. Oh no, free tank ability is free tank ability. Your first Nintendo console was a DS, 3DS. Oddly enough, even though I've done a lot of things Nintendo, I actually skipped over the entire Wii U 3DS era of gaming for Nintendo. Which, skipping on Wii U isn't too revolutionary. Almost everyone did. It was the worst selling console, I believe, of all time. However, the 3DS was one of their more successful ones, and I never actually gotten one. DS, yes. The normal DS, the OG original DS. But I have actually never initially owned a 3DS. One of my friends gave me one after they were done with theirs, like, gosh, 6-7 years ago. And I haven't really done too much with it. I played Mario Kart 7 on it. I tried the HD remake of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and stuff like that on it. However, I haven't really done too much with it ultimately. Because by that point, it was already like the Switch era. Which is why I was just getting rid of it at that point. Yeah, during the actual 3DS era, I've never owned a 3DS. Because these spears are so strong. They're basically just Takshaka, but weaker. But Takshaka is already so strong that Takshaka, but weaker, is still one of the strongest troops in the game. You know, a troop is a little strong when the weaker version of it is stronger than most options you would ever use. Yeah, Wii U basically was basically a Switch prototype. I never really understood why it wasn't like a peripheral to the Switch rather than like its own thing. Because they were originally going to do that to the N64, but they never did. Instead, it just released the GameCube. But I personally feel like the Wii U should have just been a Wii add-on. The fact that it was its own completely separate console was the weirdest choice they've ever made in the history, probably, of the company. At least since their console days. It just made no sense at all. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with the Wii 2 next year, or whatever they're calling it. I don't think it has an official name yet. I just hope the Steam Deck 2 comes around the same time. Because then mobile gaming just gets a huge upgrade between the two of them. Not counting actual mobile phones. But, you know, I mean like console-based mobile gaming. And I forget if I mentioned it recently or at all. I think I did at some point. But when Isabel and I ended up meeting up, I did try the Steam Deck for the first time. And to some degree, I'm kind of glad I waited. Because even though the buttons, the feel of the buttons worked a lot better than I thought it ever would, it actually felt really natural. The placement of the buttons would have driven me mentally insane. I would have had to have gotten caps or something to put over top of them and then switch the layout every single time I go into a new game. And everything else with that, it would have just drove me crazy. Yeah, I definitely would have replaced out every single button on it. With either skins or something else, because the order of the buttons on there make literally zero sense to me. But it feels a lot better to use than you ever think it would. Like, you look at a Steam Deck and it's like, wait, that looks like it's really clunky to hold and use. But then when you're actually, like, holding it and using it, it's like, oh, this actually does work. Which I was not expecting. Hello, Anderson. Welcome, welcome. Oh, hello, Imperial. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I always have memory issues. It's actually something I'm having with my PCs right now. And I definitely want to make sure on my next PC I get like 1, maybe even 2 terabytes of storage. Because I run out of storage way too quick. Between the channel, games, everything else. Especially given that I generally use computers for at least a decade plus. I think one thing that could solve it a little bit is if I get a bigger external drive. My current external drive does 2 terabytes. I think what I might do is get a new external drive, back up both my current 2 computers onto it, back up my previous external drive, maybe even just get rid of it or just put it to the side, and just get like a 5 to 10 terabyte external drive. Actually, how much is that? If I had to guess, I'm not even sure. Let's see, almighty Google, how much is a 10 terabyte 10 TB external storage hard drive? Let me guess. What do you guys think? Place your guess right now, without googling it. What do you think is the cost of a 10 terabyte external drive? If I had to guess, I want to say 500. I don't feel like I would spend more than 500 on this. If it was more than 500, I wouldn't get it. But I really need this because the amount of space I keep running out of is just so annoying. Okay, honestly, these prices? Are these actually good ones? Are they all 10 terabyte? Yeah, they are. Huh. 200 to 300 bucks? Really? Oh, I'm getting one then. I just need to figure out what brand and everything. I was expecting this to be way higher. Why is this one so much? USB 3.2, gosh. Thunderbolt as well. Why are all Thunderbolt things like so expensive? I do have a Thunderbolt port on this thing. Is Thunderbolt that much quicker in transfer rate? Like, I don't think it matters that much. Like, if you're transferring over all your data, you can just let it run overnight. It going, like, an hour quicker isn't that big a deal. I guess if you're transferring a lot of stuff often, this would be worth it, but for the average person, you would never need something like this. Like, yes, the transfer rate is quicker, but generally speaking, you don't care if it's that much quicker. Like, quicker is better, but for, like, 3x the price, it's not worth it. Unless you're transferring like terabytes of data like almost every day. So we're definitely not. But only 300 bucks. Honestly, that's not bad at all. I think I paid like around 100 for 2 terabytes. Back like almost a decade ago at this point, gosh. So 10 terabytes for like 300-ish. I honestly find that pretty reasonable. Yeah, something I'll need to look into then. Because I've definitely been having a bit of a memory issue. As I basically filled up a 2 terabyte drive, a terabyte drive, and a terabyte drive. So I could really use a 5 terabyte plus external thing. And a 10 terabyte would be perfect, as that would be at least another decade, as far as how long it would last me. Unless we start recording in 4K video or something. In which case we'll use that up in like a year. 4K videos are so insanely huge. I was pricing like 4K monitors, being like, oh, I don't know, am I gonna bother going into 4K? And honestly, I'm fine with 1080 60. As long as it has a quick refresh rate, like 240 hertz or something similar. I honestly don't mind 1080p. I know 1080p is kind of like almost dated these days compared to like 4K 60. But I don't know, I'm perfectly fine with 1080p these days. My TV's 1080. Every device I have caps at 1080 currently. I don't know, do any of you guys use 4K devices? Is even that noticeable of a difference? Because I personally always stuck with like 1080p stuff. But file sizes start to get absurd once you start getting into like 4K and things. Compared to like 1080p 30 or 1080p 60. Because I'm pretty sure something like 4K 60 is, I want to say like 10 times as much data space as recording something in 1080p 30, which is what most of my YouTube videos go up as. And those are already pretty large files. SSD read faster but are more expensive. Honestly, when it comes to an external storage unit, that generally doesn't matter. Because read time on it is very irrelevant a lot of times. Because it's basically just storing data and then just sitting there. And yeah, it might take like a few extra hours to like throw over all the data. But you're almost never using it for read speed. Whereas when you're putting it into a device that matters, like your phone or a console, because you're constantly reading off the card. Whereas for an external hard drive, it matters very little. Because you're very rarely, if ever at all, reading from the hard drive. You're simply just putting data there and letting it sit until later. Hello, Smash. Welcome, welcome. 4K is absolutely worth it, depending on what we were looking at. Animal Crossing, no difference. Doom, big difference. Yeah, I think that's the other issue, too, of why I don't feel like I need 4K. I basically play nothing where 4K would do anything. I don't generally play game for graphics. So, like, 95% plus of what I do would have, like, no effect in 4K. Other than make the file size bloated. I also could never stream in 4K even if I had 4K, as my connection could never handle it. In all fairness, most people's connection could never handle it. Generally, the highest you'll ever see someone streaming is 1080p 60. As 4K 30 and 4K 60 streaming is very hard to do with an average connection. Unless you live in a place that has really, really good internet. At least currently, that could change in the future. Actually, what are we streaming at right now? 1080p 30, I believe, right? Anything higher than that, and my internet provider will be like, nope. Can't function. Yeah, I'm currently streaming at 1080p 30. I actually can't even stream at 1080p 60. I can stream at 720 60. But 1080 60 is actually too hard on my internet provider. Because they're awful. I will drop too many frames for it to be possible. So we have to do 1080p 30. There was actually some amount of time where my internet was so bad I couldn't even do 1080. We had to go down to 720 for a little while. Yeah, 1080p 30's the max I can even stream at. Video-wise, if I had all the equipment for it, I could technically record in 4K. I'm just not sure if I really play anything where it's worthwhile to really bother recording in 4K. Obviously, Gems of War is not one of them. There was at one point where I was like, maybe I will. And then after looking at file size and all the equipment I would need for it, I was like, maybe I won't. Obviously, this game doesn't really need 4K. Well, honestly, I should start recording in like 60 FPS for this game. I always do it on 30 because this is what it's defaulted to when we stream as well. But would look a little bit more crisp if we 60 framed it. I personally don't really notice that big of a difference between 30 and 60 frame. I know there's a lot of people out there that can notice it instantly. I honestly see almost no difference. At least when watching something. When actively playing something, like, yes, 60 FPS makes a difference. But if you're just watching something, I personally feel like 30 and 60 FPS have almost no difference between each other. It's only when you're actively playing something does the extra frames really help. Because of reaction time and everything. As well as input technically going in slightly quicker. Lester wants 4K to thirst over the true part more. We have officially depleted all of our torches. I think one of the reasons I don't care about frames that much is I do play a lot of turn-based games, or pseudo-turn-based games. And because of that, frames have never really mattered. Because in turn-based, frames are basically irrelevant. Which is probably one of the reasons I've never really cared about frames. I generally don't play a lot of like real-time, super action-packed, precision-based things. Oh, come on! You're putting me right before the thing. Sad. It's kind of obvious this is going to be triple dead end, but we're already here, so why not? But unfortunate. But hey, 4 times treasure room. Plus we already found a merchant, so we can't possibly find it again. It's either down or left, but we'll get that tomorrow. But anyways, what else do we still have? Did we just finish everything? Got so distracted talking about technology stuff that, yeah, I think we're done. Let's see, adventure board, campaign. Hey, don't forget to get Barkley if you need it. We don't need it though, so I'll just ignore it. Journey's done. Actually, almost done. Good job, guild. We're in the final stretch already. Wait, is this one of the ones where it's really easy in the final stretch? Slightly easier, 25,000s. It's weird because in some of the game modes you have to do like 1 billion points to do the final tiers. Then there's other ones where it's like less than stage 12. It's really weird because on some weeks it's a lot, or some other game modes it's like barely any. To go do all the extended rewards, and by that I mean like the shiny keys and all that. Like these extra 4 tiers that they added a couple years back. Because if it wasn't for those, we'd already be done. We're already at stage 12, which would have been original completion. Oh, yeah, I forgot. We get deed books from Journeys. We get 2 whole deed books. Oh, you know what? Is that enough? Oh, wait, that's actually huge. I didn't even think about that. We might need to do some Explore 12. How many do we have? No! Even with those 2 red deed books and the red deeds, let's assume this is 4. And that's going to be 4 because the other thing. I am still 2 red deed books short. No, we're so close. Yeah, we're 2 red deed books short of getting 2 permanent attack from Sunspear. I mean, not from Sunspear. That's the hero class name. I mean from Pride Lands, from Sunspear. I mean Sunspear from Pride Lands. You know what I mean. But yeah, 2 more red deed books and we'll have it. Not counting the 2 that we're getting from the thing, but you know, after we finish out this event week for Journey, we will then need 2 more red deed books to complete out Pride Lands, which will give us 2 bonus attack, which is pretty sizable, especially if the game's going to shift into a skull meta. Though I don't know, we'll have to see what the 10 immortal troops that are going to be coming out, because I assume some of them will have skull mechanics, and that could start making skulls meta again. Because right now, due to Stellaryx being so strong, AoE spam is, of course, the main thing that's used. Which has kind of put insta-kill and skull spam a bit on the back burner. But, I don't know. Depends what these 10 upcoming Immortal troops can do. Let's see. Just reading back in chat. Also, hello, Lester, by the way, if I didn't already say hi. 4K to look at Divinish Bala. Use 3 1440p monitors. Isn't that the thing between 1080p and 4K? I never really understood the point of them. I feel like I'd rather use either 1080p or go all in on 4K. Because, I don't know, isn't that considered like 2K or something? I don't know these days. We have too many different terms for everything. But I feel like if I was to upgrade, I would upgrade all the way to 4K, not a half step to 144p. I guess that would still be better than 1080p, but I don't know, I'm just so used to 1080p. Yeah, it's 2K, okay. I don't know, I would either upgrade all the way or not at all. I'd either still be at 1080p 60 or go all the way to 4K 30 or 4K 60. I feel like some games, unless you have a really good setup, will kind of chug on 4K 60 though. Isn't it pretty hard to get a consistent 60 frames at 4K? I guess it kind of depends on your rig and setup and everything. I feel like there's some games where it would start losing frames. Obviously, most of what we play would not. I mean, generally speaking. Yeah, a lot of apps and stuff like that kind of get pushed out over time. It's kind of annoying. I think the most annoying thing is like, there's a lot of annoying things with it. But I really hate is Adobe. I think a lot of people hate Adobe. But, they basically got rid of Flash, which was annoying. Which ended up paying for a while back, and now it's like, oh, you can't use it anymore. And I still, honestly, the reason I keep my 11-year-old computer is because it has a legal paid-for version of Photoshop CS6 on it. And I can't live without Photoshop these days. You play 120 Hz on your TV. Oh yeah, after doing a 240 Hz monitor, I'm never going back out of 240 Hz. Oh yeah, let me go ahead and have the second code. Here you guys go, enjoy. But yeah, I will never get anything that isn't 240 Hz monitor ever again. I don't think I'll go higher than that, because honestly, I don't think anything higher than that really matters that much. But, yeah, 240 Hz monitors is like my standard now for gaming. Because after using one for the last few years or so, I would never go back. My TV's, I don't even think is even 120 Hz. It's actually pretty low. But, when it comes to actual, like, PC gaming, I don't think I would use anything lower than 240 Hz in current day. Like, I'd rather do 240 Hz 1080p at 60 FPS than get a 4K monitor that's, like, not at that. Though I'm pretty sure most 4K monitors would be at least 120 Hz, if not higher, though. Your TV is an LG OLED. Oh, yeah, that's the thing, too. Is OLED even that much better? The only OLED device I have, oddly enough, is a Nintendo Switch. But I know they've been making that push to OLED. And the OLED Switch looks pretty nice. Is OLED in general actually a lot better? Because they've definitely been making a push on that. It's kind of funny because the material to make OLED stuff is actually relatively cheap. So it's like a markup quite a bit. It's more of like an advertising push. It almost reminds me of the equivalence of diamonds. Except it actually is slightly better, the OLEDs. But OLED material is actually pretty cheap from like a manufacturing standpoint. And of course, diamonds are inflated like crazy. I'm not sure why I picked diamonds as the reference point. But like the actual value of diamonds relative to the actual value of diamonds is like so bad. Like the perceived value to actual value is like so out of whack. And OLED material is actually pretty similar if I'm not mistaken. where it's actually relatively cheap to process and manufacture OLED devices. Like as far as the actual OLED part of the device. But it's marked up like crazy on any device you ever get it on. Which is why I compare them to diamonds. These is really absurdly cheap to manufacture, but is marked up like crazy when actually sold. Though unlike diamonds, OLED actually does make a difference. Yeah, no problem for the code, everyone. Is today the circle day? No, today's not circle day. I will give you a little bit circling of Lighthelm. Here you go. But no. But we do a Vault event this weekend, so tomorrow we'll finish up all the events that we can. Get them as far as we can, progress and everything, and then all weekend, Vault event grind. Oh, I have one Vault key I need to go open. Yeah, we'll have 0 Vault keys going into the weekend, so we can go get our 300 plus. And go from there. Yeah, diamonds are marked up crazily compared to what their actual value is. Like, I wouldn't say that they're as valueless as, like, a random rock you find on the road. But it's not too far off. In theory. It's just the marketing and everything else behind them perceives them as valuable. When they're actually a pretty common stone. Oh yeah, I read the OLED thingy that you said, Bear Razor. I just didn't make comment on it. But I did read it. I need a better way of like denoting that in chat. Because I always read aloud only like 1/4 of chat a lot of times. Like selectively. But generally speaking, I do read most of chat. I just don't acknowledge that I've read every single line. You still use the free legal Adobe Suite you bought years ago? Yeah, I ended up doing that. Honestly, I wish I would have gotten the editing one. I ended up getting the graphic design one because that was what I mostly did in high school. So it was like in my skill set when I moved like past college. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get this one. Also, I have the normal one, not the school one either. Just in case I needed it for whatever reason. Yeah, because they had the discontinued Flash on it. And you don't even get compensated with like the animation suite that they have. You just simply can't use Flash anymore, which is like so dumb. But beyond that, Illustrator isn't really too useful. Like, if to an average person, you're literally just going to use it to make, like, logos. Because there are very few situations that a normal person would ever really realistically need a boundless vector compared to, like, Photoshop. Like, the amount of times you use Illustrator relative to Photoshop to an average person is probably, like, 100 to 1, if not even higher than that. Like, Photoshop is just so much more useful than Illustrator. Because you on a day-to-day basis, unless you're printing a ton of stuff, like, you really never need vectors off of Illustrator. Illustrator also feel like slightly harder to use than Photoshop. Especially if you're not, like, super artistic. There's a lot you could do with it, but just, there's just not as many times you would ever need a vector, on a day-to-day basis to the average person. Whereas Photoshop is useful to everyone. Like, whoever you are, Photoshop would be useful. Regardless of what your use case is. Like, everyone can get value from it. I really wish they had a free version of Photoshop. Even if it lacked, like, more than half of its features. I really do feel like Adobe should come out with an official free version of whatever their modern Photoshop is. And then just paywall a bunch of the better features off of it. I don't know, Adobe's a weird company. I know they've been in a lot of drama over the years. I think even recently, too. I have no clue what they're in drama for these days, but knowing Adobe, they've definitely done a billion things wrong. It's so bad because I don't understand why there's, like, so few good alternatives compared to them. Like, they're still, like, one of the main things for a lot of the programs that they have. Like, there are alternatives, but I've tried quite a handful of them, and they're just not the same, especially compared to, like, Photoshop. Like, as far as Illustrator alternatives, there's some pretty good ones. As far as, like, video editing alternatives, there's quite a bit of good ones. Animation alternatives are probably I haven't really looked into them. But I haven't really found a program that would replace Photoshop for me. Even though I'm using, like, the old CS6 version from, like, over a decade ago. You used Illustrator for 6 years, along with Photoshop, Premiere, and InDesign for work. Yeah, like, for work and stuff. I just feel like for the average person, there's just less use cases for Illustrator. personally. It's because the use cases that you would use it for are a lot more business oriented compared to Photoshop, that's a lot more like everything oriented in a sense. But anyways, I'll catch you guys later. We will be back tomorrow, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 hour prior to now tomorrow. And yeah, we'll go from there. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone. And thanks for watching.